The Dallas Cowboys and CeeDee Lamb coming to an agreement on a 4-year, $136 million deal. $100 million of that, obviously, is guaranteed. Now look at this here. The Cowboys gave CeeDee Lamb the most money they've ever given a wide receiver, but he'll be just the second highest paid receiver in the NFL, right behind Minnesota's one and only Justin Jefferson. A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Tyreek Hill fall behind CeeDee Lamb. So after a long summer of negotiations, Dallas has one key player locked down. Shannon, let's get right to it. How many teams are ahead of the Cowboys in the NFC at this particular moment in time in your eyes?
I would take the 49ers. I would take the Lions. I would take the Packers. And I'm not so sure I wouldn't put the Rams in front of them. I need to see the Eagles' defense because the defense was atrocious last year. We know they have weapons on the skill position side of the offense. They did lose Jason Kelce. But right now, I'll take 49ers. I'll take the Lions. I'll take the Packers. And you know what? Because of the way they finished last year, Cam Akers running the football, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp is completely healthy. Even though they did lose AD, arguably one of the top 3-4 defensive players of all time, I'll put the Rams in front of the Cowboys. So I will say at least 4. And if the Eagles had a better defensive standing, I would say 5, but 4 for sure.
Okay, what about you, Bart?
I would go 4, but listen, in this league, if you go 4 or 5, then you're right in the line for a Super Bowl. You know, I think when you talk about all those other teams, you know, they're flawed, right? We don't know what happened to Jalen Hurts late in the season last year. We don't know if Vic Fangio can fix that defense. They're hoping that Devin White and Gardner Johnson can come here and help that defense. And you look at the San Francisco 49ers, I don't know what type of shape Trent Williams is in. I don't know, you know, if they're going to figure it out with Brandon Ayuk. We don't know if it's going to turn 12 o'clock on Brock Purdy. So when I look at the Cowboys, I got them 4th, but they can easily be 1st or 2nd. You know, I think it's important to really note that, you know, I like the fact that Jerry Jones has made it uncomfortable for the Dallas Cowboys around there because he's created this cushy environment. And I like the fact that he's making guys earn their money and have to prove it. Yes, Mr. Stephen A?
That's right. First of all, I got to get to your point in a second, but just for future reference, this is the angle that I want to be seen on. I don't want the jib. That's too far away. I'm looking too damn good today for you to be having a camera distant from me. I like this shot right here. Let's get that.
It's too much shine coming off that Rumpelstiltskin suit, man. That silk thread is hurting my eyeballs right there.
There we go. That's number 1. Number 2, I don't know what the hell you're talking about with the Dallas Cowboys being one of the top 2 teams in the NFC. I don't know what's wrong with you, Bart Scott. Let me tell you something, Shay, Bart Scott, right now. I got the Dallas Cowboys at minimum 5, possibly 6. I got the Eagles ahead of them, winning the division. You remember, the NFC ain't had a back-to-back winner of the division crown over the last several years, for crying out loud. I think the Eagles going to win the division this year. I got 20. Green Bay and Detroit ahead of them. I got San Francisco ahead of them. And I got the Los Angeles Rams ahead of them. That's what I'm thinking. What y'all talking, Shannon, debatable 4, but you, Bart Scott, with top 2 in the NFC? What's wrong with you?
Listen, I've done this show for about, 3 or 4 years now?
Yes.
You've always told me that the list is fluid. So what are you talking about? So that means that it can move up and down based on health, based on performance. But when you look at the Dallas Cowboys, you talk about how they didn't spend any money in this offseason, but I did think they made strategic acquisitions. And let's see what they do now that you're going to have this second wave of free agency, now that you're going to have a couple veterans, you know, that get cut. Do they go get Boston Scott? Do they get Dalvin Cook, who, you know, the last year we saw when he was healthy was a above 1,000-yard rusher who's still in his prime. But also, when you look at the roster, and you have to give Jerry Jones credit where credit is due. He's done a great job in getting talent and acquiring talent, maybe not paying them promptly or early, but he always gets the job done. So when I look at the talent, they got 2 outstanding corners. They have 2 great pass rushers, and I love what they did.
Now,
with
one of them's hurt, though.
Yeah, one of them's hurt, but they're going to be back. I love the fact that they went out and got Carl Lawson. And when people say, well, why Carl Lawson? He didn't perform well when the Jets paid him. But he allows them to have defensive flexibility because now you can't bully ball them no more.
Okay.
So when Green Bay comes in, they try and run the ball. Now it's going to be Kendrick, who's a 5-time Pro Bowler, and potentially Michael Parsons at the second level. That's bully ball them. So I like what they've done, even though it wasn't flashy.
Go ahead, Shannon.
But there's still some questions. DeRon Bland is going to start the season. He's going to be out. You get the left corner. You get Diggs coming back off an ACL injury. You have some questions in the offensive line. You lose Tyron Smith. Okay, you're going to bump the left guard, who's been outstanding since he was a rookie. You put him at left tackle. So now you still have some interior that's in flux. Who's going to be your left tackle? Who's going to be your left guard? How is your center? Your center, Biotish, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he go to the Commanders? So there's still some questions. As you have questions for these other teams, there's some question marks with the Dallas Cowboys. Their running back situation. I understand they brought Zeke back. And we know that he's not what he once was. He's more of a bell cow back. He's more of a goal line situation. He has a nose for getting, short yardage and goal line. He has a knack for getting the ball into the end zone and getting some short yardage situation. But the Cowboys is not without their issues also, Bart. But like I said, I like Green Bay. I like Detroit. I like San Francisco. Those are three de factos. And considering, Stephen A., how the Rams finished with Puka Nacua back, with Cooper Kupp completely healthy, Cam Akers running the football. Now, defensively, what are they going to be like? They did lose Raheem Morris. They did lose AD. But I would put them in front of them. So right now, for me, the Cowboys would be fifth. And I agree with you, Bart. Their defense, the Eagles' defense, leaves a lot to be desired. How much improved are they going to be? And I need to see Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts took a step back. He got that money. I don't care what y'all say. Jalen Hurts took a step back because he had double the amount of turnovers that he had the year that he went to the Super Bowl. Excuse me?
Yeah, 8 turnovers the year before the year he went to the Super Bowl, had 20 turnovers last year. No question, he took a step back. The Eagles defense, don't get me started with them. They couldn't stop a cold. We all know that. By the way, both of you gave outstanding analysis there, but you both took a little bit too long. We need to be a bit more succinct. I just want to make sure I got that a little bit short. A little bit short. Both of you. Who am I to say such a thing?
Okay. We're tied up a little better.
CeeDee Lamb's deal, by the way, was not the only interesting thing coming out of Dallas yesterday, because we got to get to Jerry Jones right here. The one and only Jerry Jones, owner for the Dallas Cowboys, made these comments to Dallas on why he won't ever hire a GM, saying, quote, I've done it all.
Give me the running back.
Excuse me. He said, I've done it all. So I have an ordinate amount of confidence that expletive, if anybody can figure out how to get this expletive done, I can figure out how to get it done. So hell no. There's nobody that could expletive come in here and do all the contracts and be a GM any better than I can. That is a quote that was given by Dallas Cowboys owner, president, GM, the one and only Jerry Jones. By the way, he continued, plus, I'm where the buck stops. When it expletives up, I got to cover it. There's nobody can do it. Running this team, that's who I want to make the last call. Now, when I can't expletive, think when I'm old and I can't even do it, but I'm a long way from not being able to do it too. Good Lord have mercy. Bart Scott, your reaction to what Jerry Jones had to say. I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. What's up, Shannon? What's up?
I misspoke. Cam Akers is Tyron Williams that's running the ball for the Rams. Cam Akers is now with the Houston Texans. But if you look at the way the Rams ran the ball last year at the end of the season, Stephen A., I have confidence that they're going to come in and do that again this year. And with that receiving core and the way Sean McVay can call plays, I still have the Rams in front of the Cowboys.
Well, you're
Go
lucky,
ahead, Bart.
Shannon.
Take off.
Well, you're lucky, Shannon, because you're working with somebody who makes that mistake all the damn time. Welcome to the family. Anyway, let's go ahead, Bart. Go ahead. Go ahead, Bart.
That makes 3 of us.
There we go. Your thoughts about Jerry Jones and what
well, I tell you what, he's not all the way wrong, right? This team hasn't lost because of a talent acquisition or a lack of talent. He's done a great job, not drafting Johnny Manziel, getting Zach Martin, going out Tyron Smith, DeMarcus Lawrence, Michael Parsons. The list goes on. But where he falls short is setting a culture, because it's tough to do, 2 things at 100%. He's been a great owner, right? You talk about $77 million per game, probably one of the most valued franchise in all of North America, but he hasn't cultivated the championship because he doesn't empower his coaches, because he's over there micromanaging everything, and sometimes you have to step back and allow people to do their jobs. He oftentimes renders his head coaches powerless, and everybody knows the buck stops with him. And if they have a good, cushy relationship with him, then they're good. You know, he needs to kind of step back from being able to be in the media so much and step back and allow these guys to kind of be able to be under the radar, which is hard to say when he's trying to promote the brand.
Go ahead, Shannon.
He just told you. He's not going to allow anybody to do it. He just told you, Bart, I'm not going to allow anybody to do it. And the problem that he has, my brother tells me all the time, he said, you don't realize how much success you can have as long as you don't mind who gets the credit. You see what he told you, Bart? I want the credit. Now, he didn't tell you he wanted Johnny Manziel, and his son had to talk him out of that and take Zach Martin. You see, all he wants to do is get the successes, but all the blame, he don't want any of the flaws that come along with that. Jerry, this is what drove Jerry crazy and got Jimmy Johnson up out of there, because he got none of the credit for those early 90 Cowboys, and he wanted that. He desires that, so he won't allow anybody to do that. That's why he won't bring a coach in there with any name. He's never going to have a Sean Payton. He would never have a Bill Belichick, because those guys, when it goes well, are going to get the credit. Jerry desires the credit. So he's going to sabotage any general manager. He's going to sabotage anybody that might get any oxygen in which you talk about. That's why he does what he does. He doesn't want that. Mr. Kraft sat back, I will win Super Bowl. Clark Hunt sit back, let Andy Reid do what he does, win Super Bowl. Jerry Jones talk, don't win jack. If his franchise valuable, it is the most valuable sports franchise in all the world, not just North America. I'm not going to let somebody come in here because I'll sabotage it. And second of all, I want all the credit. So the buck stops with me. So does when it doesn't go well. Don't put it on the players. I thought no, you, Jerry, you.
Well, it's got to be on Jerry, and I agree with Shannon, but for different reasons. It's got to be on Jerry because Jerry's the one that hires the coaches. And we got to get to that as well. We got to remember, let's start back. Forgive me for providing this history lesson, but I made sure I had my researchers look this up because I needed to confirm what I suspected all along. When we talk about the Dallas Cowboys, Shannon and Bart being America's team, you know why we call them America's team? Because from the 1970 merger to the 1995 season, the Cowboys won 5 of the 8 Super Bowls they played in. They reached 14 NFC championship games in 26 seasons. So from 1970 to 1995, a 25-year period, the Dallas Cowboys played in 54% of the NFC title games and won out of every 3 Super Bowls. From 1996 to the present day, the Cowboys haven't played in a Super Bowl or an NFC championship game in 28 straight seasons. Somewhere along the line, Jerry Jones has to remember that. And when you talk about Jerry Jones, the Cowboys are one of 5 teams without a conference championship game appearance since 1996. The Texans are 1, the Cleveland Browns are 1, the Dolphins are 1, the Washington Commanders are 1. Jerry Jones has been the GM the entire span. All the other 4 teams had at least 5 GMs. Jerry has had 7 different head coaches in that span since 1996. At some point in time, I can understand him saying, I'm the one that can do it. I'm the one that should be doing it. The buck stops with me. I don't think he's realized the magnitude, Bart, of what Shannon articulated, which is he wants the credit. Because if you just want to win, you don't have a problem deferring to somebody who just may know better than you. And for you to sit around, and I'm hoping to interview him soon, because these are the kind of questions that need to be asked of him. For 28 years, at no time did you see anybody, not one human being on the planet, that might be able to make better decisions than you? At no time? I don't know of any human being that would say definitively, over a 28-year period, I've never seen anybody better at making the decision than me. And that essentially is what he's saying. And I think that, I don't know if he realizes that or not, but that's certainly how it comes across, Bart.
I mean, exactly. To Shannon's point, I think you articulated it well. The fact is you can't be concerned with who gets the credit, because when we win, we all eat, right? And at the end of the day, when they write his story, they're going to talk about how many championships he won, not who his general manager was when he won it or who his head coach was when he won it. But, we've all been around players like this, too, that much rather have a good game and rather than win and lose the game
And-
than to have a bad game.
A good game and lose, Bart.
Exactly. A good game and lose, right? And I feel like that's what Jerry is, because he's saying, look, how do you go from good to great, right? He's gathered great talent, so he's saying it's not on me, but at some point it is on you because you set the environment and the culture of the franchise. And the culture is that it's not a championship culture because guys aren't playing above or punching above their weight. And he has to look at himself and saying, why are these guys so comfortable? Why aren't they playing with an edge? Why do I have all this talent, but they always fall short? And, if the one thing that's been constant, to Stephen's point, is Jerry Jones.
Go ahead, Shannon.
Another thing is, he hires the coaches. Jerry is not going to hire anybody that can challenge him. Jerry is only going to hire people to let him come in and talk to the team, let him address the team. When no other owner does that, they stand back out of the way. Jerry wants to be seen. Jerry wants to be heard. He wants it to be all about Jerry Jones. And so if it's not about him, he's going to have a problem with it. Like I said, it doesn't matter. You don't realize how much success you can have if you don't care who gets the credit. Once you start worrying about it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. And eventually, what happened? What broke up the Patriots? Coach Belichick started to worry about who was getting the credit.
Shannon, does McCarthy have a point?
What? Hell no, he ain't got no point. The only point he got is on the top of his head, and he bumped it. Stephen A., we understand winning in the National Football League is no easy task. We understand that. Stephen A., you covered it. Bart, you and I played it at a high level for an extended period of time. But once you get to the playoffs, that's ultimately how you're judged. That's how we judge those quarterbacks. That's how we judge the coaches. Now all of a sudden, but look at me, man. 3, 4, 5 years in a row, we've won 12 games. And guess what? You've lost it, and you've been at home and lost. Mike, y'all need to stop trying to change the narrative to point it to make it look like, look, we're winning. No, that's not what you sell. What Jerry comes out and says, what Stephen comes out and says every year, Bart, this team reminds me of those early 90s Super Bowl teams as far as talent and the way I see this team coming together. They tell their fans that every single year. And every single year, normally the first weekend of the playoffs, come Monday, they got those hefty bags. Okay. They're cleaning out their lockers because the season has ended in disappointment year after year. Right. No, he don't have a point, Stephen A., and he knows he doesn't, but he knows he's on the hot seat.
Go ahead, Bart, your turn.
Well, attitude reflect leadership, and that's not the type of leadership that I want because I want to be held accountable, but I want my coach held accountable as well. And that's what I think Jerry is trying to do by making him a lame duck coach, saying, hey, we're all in because if this doesn't work out, we got to make changes. But I don't want to hear that from my head coach because at the end of the day, we're judged about what we do when we get in the tournament. And too often we watch other guys have great days, career days, like Jordan Love coming into their house, embarrassing them. I mean, we see the crying memes of all the Dallas Cowboy fans. But that's the problem, right? Because now the players are saying, well, you know what? As long as we have a good season, we'll still have job security. We'll still be okay. No, that's not the point. That's not what we're supposed to be working for. We play this game listen, we put a lot on our bodies, man. A lot of us still wearing some of the scar tissue that we get from this game. The only reason why we do it is for the glory. And if we're not playing for the championship, I don't want to be a part of it.
Let me say this, y'all, real quick before we go to break. As far as I'm concerned, listening to Mike McCarthy right there, that's why I expect this to be his last year coaching the Dallas Cowboys. I don't give a damn about back-to-back 12-5 seasons. When your head coach is like, we got to get back to winning week in and week out. Well, you've won 12 games each of the last 3 years. You've won enough games to be a postseason participant.
Yeah.
If you at this point are not prioritizing winning when it counts in the postseason, you're not the person that deserves to be the head coach of the most popular franchise in all of sports, period. You can't have Mike McCarthy sitting there. Now, I understand making that statement if you were moribund, if you were living in football purgatory, if you were going 3-13 or 3-14. But when you've had back-to-back 12-5 seasons, and you're saying we got to get back to winning week in and week out, well, what the hell have you been doing September through December? You were winning enough games. The issue is January. And this man gave a quote basically trying to get everybody to forget about January and February. That's when it counts. So if you're going to sit up there and act like that doesn't matter, that's the same priority as the numbers, as the month September through December, you have shown me why Bill Belichick, I was saying Bill Belichick should have been the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, because Jerry can negotiate the deals, and Jerry can get in front of the cameras, and Jerry can talk to the media. And the person who doesn't want to do anything but coach, who doesn't want to talk to the media, who might probably hug you and kiss you and thank you for making them not talk to the media, as the coach, that would have been Bill Belichick. That was the perfect hire, and you didn't do it.